I hope you all had a fantastic long weekend and you all are slowly easing out of those New Year's resolution promises you guys made about 18 days ago. Uh, anyway, I got a special episode of the podcast today. Not really that special, just a normal episode, but we on that grind. And today, we're talking all things Hollywood. And the essential question of the day is Hollywood all that it's cracked up to be? To help answer that question, I brought on Saro Acharya, a guy I know really well, and someone who has had a lot of experience with film and content creation himself. Saro just graduated from film school last spring from Emerson College, but he is taking us through what his process of film school was, what his experience of film school was like, and if it's really worth the heavy financial cost. He also talks about his internship and work experiences and what that was like within the context of Hollywood. He also talks about where he sees the future of Hollywood trending within the coming years. We also talk about some of our favorite films and the process to creating and making films as well. We had a great time having this conversation. So if you're a film buff, someone who wants to get into the film industry, or someone who wants to peel back the curtain a little bit when it comes to Hollywood, this is the podcast for you. So I hope you sit back, relax, enjoy this conversation with Saro. Cue it up.
Okay, guys, coming to you live from my parents' house. It's episode 8 of the Essential Question podcast. We are live and on Zoom with Hollywood's very own Saro Acharya. How's it going, man?
Hey, man, what's up? I love that intro.
I know, dude. I kind of just came up with it on the spot, dude, honestly.
I like it. I like the energy.
The parents' house, yeah, dude. So there was this one podcast host that was like, coming to you live from my apartment. And I basically took that and I was like, oh, I'm at my parents' house, so I'm just going to do that.
It works. It works.
I know, it does kind of work with the vibe. But how's everything going so far? How's COVID treating you?
I mean, it's treating me well considering I don't have it, but otherwise the whole pandemic has been kind of derailing for my like plans post-college and everything. So just been kind of trying to deal with it, day to day. Just been like trying to do work on the sides besides like my main source of income and everything. But yeah.
Yeah. So the essential question I forgot to say for this week's episode is Hollywood all it's cracked up to be? I don't know. I guess you're going to have to determine that through this episode. So we'll see what happens there. But I thought I would give Saro a chance to introduce himself first, and then I was going to go through a little rapid-fire questioning that just determines my impression of the guest forever and ever. So, Saro, introduce yourself first, and then we can get into the rapid-fire stuff.
Rapid-fire questioning. That sounds intense.
Yeah, it's intense, bro.
Hi, everybody. I'm Saro. I am a recently graduated Emerson College alumni. I went to film school there, which we'll get into later. But currently I'm working at Coinbase, like the cryptocurrency platform, as a production coordinator on their media stuff. Previously, I was over at Paramount Pictures working on their post-production. And then before that at Apple on their post-production. So I'm kind of in the film industry world and a little bit in the tech industry world, just a smidgen. But that's kind of what I do. Eventually, I want to get into Hollywood. So that's the main goal.
Yeah. I mean, I've like noticed like you've had like significant experience like on set and like in Hollywood and stuff. So like that's, I mean, I think you have some credibility, a bit of credibility when it comes to that. And you're a film god. So, that's
Thank you. Thank you.
You got to check out his projects, by the way. I'll plug it in the description down below. So check that out. All right. Rapid fire questioning time. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Are you ready for the smoke? Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
I'm ready. Give me all the smoke, dude.
First question. LA or the Bay? Oh, we starting out like that.
That's hard. I feel like if I say either, that's going to annoy a lot of people. But I'm going to have to go with – I'll give the Bay like a slight edge, honestly.
That's what's up.
It's a lot prettier than LA, and the people were a lot nicer.
1-0, baby. If you notice my shit in the background, I mean, there's a very clear answer to that question.
I love it.
So it's the Bay over LA, guys. You heard it here first. And Hollywood's very own said it himself. So what can I say? What's your passion like outside of film and content creation? Like what are you into?
I'm really into fitness. Recently I've been getting a lot into boxing. Like the past year I've kind of just been obsessed with boxing. I started boxing training like 3 weeks before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hit, and I've kind of just been trying to like keep up with it on my own. I set up like a heavy bag in the backyard, and I've been following my coach's Instagram where he posts like online like how-tos on like what to do and stuff. So that's kind of like what I've been up to. Other than that, I do write a lot in my free time, and I am a photographer. And along with being a photographer, I feel like being a hiker is also kind of like part of that. Like it goes hand in hand, you know? So I love hiking, just finding pretty views and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, you sound like every kid from the Bay Area. But
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's fair.
With a little boba in your hand, you would fit right in.
Boba and a little camera and like I'm in, you know.
You know the vibes.
You know the vibes.
And favorite movie of all time. This is probably tough for you.
Oh my god, dude, that's so hard. What?
Pick one movie
Of all time.
Mm-hmm.
The one that immediately jumped to mind was The Dark Knight, and I feel like that's a lot of people's answers, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like it's a good movie, and it's a Batman movie, and Batman is amazing. So I'm gonna say The Dark Knight.
I feel that. That's like it's like top 10 for me. It doesn't crack my top 3, but yeah. No, I could see the argument.
I have like really like weird tastes in movies because like I don't know, like my I feel like my favorites list would be like Dark Knight, but then also like 500 Days of Summer. Which
Yeah,
is like
I was about to
rom-com.
say, I was like, you were the one who has like 500 Days of Summer in his top 3, right?
I'm surprised you remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
like, I
that was the
love
one
500
thing I
Days of
remember
Summer.
about you because I was like, dude, it's the most like chick flick movie of all time, and like
But it's so
Saro
good.
goes to
It's so
film
good.
school and he has it in his top 3. I was like, wait, what?
Dude,
Like-
everybody needs to watch 500 Days of Summer. It's such a good,
Yeah.
not even just like rom-com, but a good film. Like it employs such cool like non-linear storytelling techniques, and it's just a cool movie all around.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it before. I actually really like it. I mean, it's Zooey Deschanel and Paul Rudd, right?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Oh, Joseph Gordon. Yeah, see, Jesus. Okay, white man actors are not my thing, but yeah, I remember Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel is amazing. So
Yeah, she is for sure.
all right, next question on this incredibly intense rapid fire. Favorite rapper of all time?
Ooh, that's hard. Favorite rapper?
I think I know who you'll say.
For me, I think it's Kendrick Lamar.
Really?
Yeah,
Really? Okay.
I just feel like no one else really does it like him. You know, like even J. Cole's not on his level.
Okay.
You might disagree with that.
Yeah. We've had
Um,
conversations about this.
We've had conversations about this before. Yeah, I feel like stylistically, he's just like in a whole different lane than other people. Like Drake and him have beef, but like Kendrick is obviously the better rapper if we're talking like bars and writing. I know you didn't ask this, but my favorite artist, who is
Yeah,
also
go
a
for it.
rapper, is Childish Gambino. I'm a huge Childish Gambino fan.
There.
He's not the best rapper, but he's like a good all around like singer, and he's like an okay rapper.
Mhm.
But he's a great like musician. I love his work outside of music as well. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my answer.
I could get with both of those. Like I could, I could get behind both of those answers. I
Yeah,
thought
what
you were
if
going to
I
say
came on? What if I came on and said Macklemore, dude?
I would hang up this call right now. But what do you call? I mean, I thought you were Kanye. I had you pegged for a Kanye guy.
I like Kanye, but he's been really whack recently.
Well, like take the personal shit out of it, but like just
No,
music.
but like his music recently has also been really whack, you know?
Fair.
Like,
Like the Wash Us in the Blood.
yeah, I mean, I thought that was an okay track, but then the one he released after Nah 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 was terrible. Jesus is King was like was just not it.
Oh my
Um,
god. I didn't
even, like-
bother to listen to it.
Even like Kids See Ghosts and like I'm like they're all right, but they're not like real Kanye albums, you know?
You know
So-
what the funny part is like people consider Kids See Ghosts to be like a stylistic masterpiece when it's not. I don't think it's that good.
I think it's good. It's just like I wouldn't agree that it's like a stylistic masterpiece. I feel like it's really bare bones.
Yeah.
And Kid Cudi does a great job on it, and Kanye does a great job on it, but it just like is an okay album
I
all
don't know.
around.
I didn't really like it, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it is a really weird sounding album. Same with Ye, like that the whole period of Kanye is just really.
I actually
Really
really
strange.
I liked Ye.
I liked Ye more than
people.
Kids See Ghosts, and
Yeah.
that's like a hot take because a lot of people love Kids See Ghosts and hate
Mhm.
Ye for some reason, and I think Ye is like one
Ye's
of the most
good.
personal like Kanye albums there is. So
I really like, you know what I like on Ye? I think with Ye is that it came out in the right time in my life.
Mhm.
So I was just like, I just thoroughly enjoyed every single second of it.
Mm.
Like, I mean, when like the beats on Ye are like some of the best Kanye beats I've heard. Personally, I think the production on Ye is fantastic. And I know that's a hot take, but
It is kind of a hot take. I wouldn't agree
Yeah.
with the beats part.
I mean, Pablo has some fire beats too.
I love Pablo. Dude, Pablo
Yeah.
was like the Kanye album for me.
Fair.
Probably because that came out during my senior year of high school.
Pablo came out at the perfect time for you.
Yeah. So I feel like that was like the album for me, and that's also like what I was a Kanye fan before that, but like Life of Pablo was like the first Kanye release that I feel like I experienced. Because before that, like I think there was what was before Pablo, like Yeezus,
Yeah,
and that was like 2013.
13.
Oh yeah. So it was like I wasn't really
big.
big into Kanye then, but like
Fair.
I got into him after, and like Pablo was like the first release that I saw, and all the hype around it was like amazing.
I think Ye came out my senior year of high school, or
that makes
right
sense.
before. Yeah, so something like that. So people were hella into it, but and then I was gonna ask you your favorite musician like recently. Like who have you like gotten like really into during like quarantine or like, you know?
Bro, let me pull up my my playlist on Spotify.
Yeah.
And check. Let's see.
You're like, you know, Tame Impala is kind of underground.
I've been getting really into have you heard of Polo G? I love his shit.
I've heard of Polo
he's
G.
Good. Yeah.
He's good, yeah.
And then I'm a huge Jid fan. That's not recent. I've been a Jid fan for like a year, but his shit is fire, and I'm glad he's like under J. Cole and all of that stuff. So he's another artist I love.
That's fair. All right, biggest celebrity crush growing up.
Ooh, that's hard. I'm trying to think, dude. That's hard. I'm actually like stumped on this one. I'm gonna just say like Princess Leia on it. Like that's such a
like
bad
Carrie
answer.
Fisher.
Maybe, yeah.
Fair. I mean, I feel like if you're a big Star Wars fan, like I'm not. So
would it be weird if I said like Lola Bunny from Space Jam? No, that's fucking weird. I can't say that.
No, I mean you said it already, so you know if you get canceled,
I gotta think. There has to be like a cartoon character or someone that I like was like, oh my god.
It doesn't have to be like a cartoon character. It can just be like even like a real human being, like an actress. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I'm having a hard time thinking of it.
Like growing up, I'm talking like high school too. Like who do you think was super attractive in high school?
You know what? Let's come back to this question.
Okay, we'll ask it again. There's only a couple more, but I guess mine. I mean, everyone knows mine, so you can comment it down below if you know it.
Wait, I don't know yours. What's yours?
What? It's Alex Morgan, obviously. It's all over my social media.
Right,
I think I write like I have like hashtag sim for Alex Morgan in my Instagram bio. Something like that. I post like crazy shit, but I sound like such a freaking I'm like a fanboy, but it doesn't matter because she's a beautiful goddess. It doesn't matter. She did get Rona though, so don't come near me, please. If you could be one person before that, favorite guilty pleasure show.
Guilty pleasure show. Riverdale. It's so fucking stupid.
Oh my god.
But it's so entertaining, and the right, like I want to know what it's like in the writer's room for Riverdale. And I've heard actually what it's like, and I hear they take themselves way too seriously. Is what I've been told by friends who have connections in the Riverdale writer's room. And like that makes me wonder, like they have to know what kind of show they're writing, because the actors obviously know that it's like dog shit, but it's such an entertaining show because like none of it makes any sense. Like I remember there's one stretch where the main character, first of all, they're high schoolers. Second of all,
but like, they look like they're 27.
Yeah, and they're also like out there killing people, and there's gangs and shit. And like there's a stretch of episodes where the main character is a refugee and on the run in like Canada, and then he gets mauled by a bear. And then the next episode, he's back in school taking like the SAT, and they just like barely address the bear thing, and he has like a few scars, but you have no idea like how he got out of that situation, like why. Like it just doesn't make any sense, and like that's
shit like that on the air, bro.
Like it's such a stupid show, but it's
you know, I was like really into it like junior year of high school. I watched the first season. I thought the first season was really good.
First season was decent, but it like goes off the rails and becomes like one of those so bad.
No, it became like, hella whack after that.
Yeah.
The first season was good. There was like a solid, I would say like 5 or 6 months like within our high school that like everyone was really into Riverdale.
Yeah, I remember when season 2 premiered, the hype was so real, and like it was huge. Like at college, like people were having watch parties and shit for it.
Yeah, I was excited, dude. I was like pumped. I was like, damn, season 2 Riverdale, let's go. Like season 1 ended hella well. And so I was pumped, but like it just, God.
The main thing about those shows that I've noticed, with The Flash, Riverdale, any of the Greg Berlanti shows, he's like the main producer behind all of those shows. They're all 24 episodes long per season, which is ridiculous.
Wait, the first season of Riverdale though was like 11 episodes.
It was like 11 episodes, which is why
I think that
was
was why it was good, because it was short and sweet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
To have your season go 24 episodes is ridiculous. You can't have like a
100%.
good overarching story with that. So
Yeah.
they have to find like ridiculous ways to extend the plot, and it's so stupid what they come up with.
I mean, do I have a guilty pleasure show? Like, I guess like the show I did try not to admit to people that I've watched before is like, like I used to I watched Selling Sunset on Netflix.
Okay, that's not like that bad. Like it's an entertaining show, and Graham Stephan's on it.
Dude,
sometimes.
shout out Graham Stephan again for like the 9th time on this podcast. His like elbows in it. Did you see like the YouTube video where he's like all the times Graham Stephan appeared in Selling Sunset? And it's like
in the
2 seconds.
background.
Yeah.
Like
I'm like, I wish he was on it, dude. I think it'd be so funny with all these girls. He would just be like telling them how to save their money.
they gotta know that like he's a big like social media star now.
Yeah.
Like maybe they'll put him on in future seasons or something.
I think it would be so funny if he was on.
Yeah. I didn't realize how short he was until I watched
He's
the show.
hella short.
Yeah.
He's like 5'6".
Yeah. Seeing him stand next to everybody in the show, it's like it's funny to see him. Like I don't know. It's entertaining.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like when you watch Graham's content and then just like watch the show, it's like this is like the last place you would see him fit in.
True. He doesn't seem like the Hollywood like big ego kind of crowd person, but I guess like you have to hang around those people when you're like a real estate
LA,
agent.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then last question of the rapid fire questions, which you have, by the way, done pretty well on.
Hey,
like
I'm glad.
C-, you passed.
Oh wow.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding. If you could be a person for a day, any individual in the whole entire world, living or dead or semi-dead, who would it be and why?
Donald Glover. Going back to my answer earlier, I just feel like
Fair.
I want to know like what makes him tick. Like how does he do everything? Like how does he write, act, direct, sing, rap, and like keep all those projects like going at the same time? Like it's crazy. Like this man must have insane time management, and I would just love to know like what
he probably also just like wakes up at 2 a.m. and goes to bed.
Yeah, he probably
at
doesn't
7
sleep at
p.m.
all, dude. Yeah, like it's I don't understand how he does everything.
Is he dating anyone, or does he have like a wife?
He just had kids recently.
What?
So,
how does he have the time?
I don't know. He's a dad too. Like it's insane. I don't understand.
That's okay. Wow. I thought he was like a single guy and he was just like grinding.
No, I think he has a wife now too. Yeah.
Dude, oh my God, that's insanity.
Yeah.
I didn't even.
know how he
Oh
does it.
wow,
That's crazy.
that is crazy, man. I can't even believe that. But like, speaking of Donald Glover and one of your biggest idols in film, like what got you into film? Like when you were younger, and like who inspired you? Like I know you were talking about like Donald Glover being one of your big inspirations, but like were there any other people that inspired you, and like what got you into it?
Yeah, for sure. So Donald Glover was definitely like a recent inspiration that I just started to listen to his music like 3 or 4 years ago, and that's why I got into like his content. The reason I got into film was I remember back when I was a little kid, my grandmother, I'm half Japanese, she used to show me the Studio Ghibli movies.
Mm-hmm.
So like Totoro was like the main one, and ever since then I was just like super into animation and media in general. And initially I was actually like so set on going into animation, and then it kind of pivoted into like film. So I'd say like the Studio Ghibli movies, I remember watching Spider-Man in theaters as a kid too, and that was like a big inspiration as well. And so just kind of seeing like what the medium can bring in different ways, I think that's what really inspired me. I can't name like a specific person from back then. There were a lot of Cartoon Network shows for sure.
No, that makes sense. I mean, a lot of times it's not like specific people, it's like, it's more so like just shows or like content all together just kind of coming
Yeah.
together and just like being like, wow, that's freaking cool.
Another big thing that I remember like being really influential to me was Avatar: The Last Airbender as a kid
Yeah.
on Nickelodeon. That was like big to me. Just because like it was like the first show I think I watched that had like one, an overarching plot, two, like character development, and three, like just progression over like 3 seasons to a final point. Because like how like Fairly Odd Parents is just like, and SpongeBob, they're just like one episode, something happens, and then everything goes back to normal. It's like a sitcom,
Yeah. Do you see like an end game for SpongeBob? Like, how would you end the show?
I don't know. That's well, apparently when the movie came out in 2004, that was supposed to be the final thing for SpongeBob, but they were like, oh, we like money, so we'll keep going.
Makes sense.
And so I think that would have been a perfect send off. But I have no idea how you end it today.
It's like it just ends with one last SpongeBob laugh, like the show's over.
I don't even know how you'd end like Fairly Odd Parents either. Like it's just they're both such big shows, and like I have no idea.
Is it still going? I thought Fairly Odd Parents was over.
I have no clue, dude.
Dude,
It might be. I heard Butch Hartman left Nickelodeon, so he might have. They might just not be making it anymore.
Probably. They're just probably airing reruns.
Yeah, most likely.
Oh man. So it's just like a bunch of these like Nickelodeon shows and like Cartoon Network that was just like, wow, like I want to make that one day kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I think it was more like I saw it and it kind of like instilled a lot of the core values of like storytelling in me. I didn't even know it back then, but I think like the react structure was just like being instilled into my brain of like, oh, like we're turning like the corner on like this minute or this point in the story where like something should be happening to signal like the ending is going to be like occurring soon with like a resolution, stuff like that. So I feel like my brain just like saw it and then took it in and kind of like inhaled like the story structures from those episodes of like children's TV shows. I don't know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it starts young, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what do you have like any, I know like I'm kind of harping on this, but like do you have like any particular films that like really inspire the way that you like tell your stories? Because I know like every filmmaker, like people that write and direct and film and make films, even like myself when I was writing, like we have like a particular style, and like there's obviously things that like influence that craft. Like are there any particular people like who influence the craft, or like any films that have influenced the way you make movies?
Well, like I said before, like 500 Days of Summer, like that, I think that's been a huge influence for me. Just because it's like non-linear and there's so much happening, but it fits into a 3-act structure somehow, even though it's like taking place at different times in the relationship. And so I think the writing on that film really kind of, and it's really stylistic too. Like the characters don't really talk like real people, even though it's like a pretty realistic movie. And so I think that really influenced me when I watched it recently. When I've been writing this horror pilot. We talked about it before we started recording.
Yeah.
That's about this Japanese family that moves to a town after World War II. I've been looking a lot at Haunting of Hill House and their scripts.
Okay.
Just because they have like a really tight structure and like a really good understanding of character and emotions and stuff. So that's been a recent like pretty big inspiration for me. I think it depends on what type of project I'm working on.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I just feel like as a writer, you should be kind of malleable, but there's definitely things that I like lean more towards. Like I love writing dialogue, but writing out like story structure stuff is just like, it's kind of cold to me, you know?
That makes sense. Yeah. I feel like with me, like when I used to write, I used to kind of just like go with it and just see like where it would go. And then I'd be like, oh, that made no freaking sense. Or like I'd send it to people and they'd be like, dude, this is illegible. And I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a process. Like it's like once you finish your first draft, that's the first step. And then there's like 27 steps after that that you need to go through to like get it to like a good place. So it's always about like evolving the project, you know?
100%. And like, I mean, I think we've both like written films and like made films and stuff, like, because, you know, shout out to our high school, but you know, like I feel like even like when you're on set, like so many times, like we've called audibles and been like, oh no, like I hate that line. Like we're going to
Yeah.
rewrite it, or like we're going to rewrite this, or like, you know, do this another way and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Being on set is like a totally different like
Yeah.
situation that you kind of have to adapt to.
Yeah.
Last year, 2 years ago, last year, I was filming my thesis project for college, which I still have to do post production for, like a little bit on it. But the onset experience was like insane because it was like organizing a crew of like 30 people,
Mm-hmm.
getting like camera rentals for the shoot, and like getting a U-Haul to like transport it all, getting like crafty for the crew, making sure everyone had transportation. It was a lot of like logistics,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
anything can go wrong in the moment, and I think that's like the most stressful thing. And so producing or even directing is kind of just like problem solving, like on the fly. You have to come up with like ways to like fix issues that come up as they come up, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess like that's just one of the things you like learn about like as soon as you like hit a film set is like, oh crap, like there's so much you have to learn.
Yeah, no,
Um,
for sure.
but I was gonna get to what we were talking about earlier, kind of talking about, which was film school. So like when you were applying to film schools, like as someone, I know you're like a huge creator and you just love to make videos and films and photos, like you were saying earlier. Like, did you ever just consider like not going to school and just being like, fuck it, I'm gonna take my car, drive down to LA and figure it out?
No, I actually never considered that. And I kind of wish I had in retrospect, just because I'm not sure if film school was like worth it 100%, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was worth it to make connections, to meet the people I did, and to kind of figure out like what I wanted to do. But the 60,000 a year is a
Yeah,
big price tag to pay for that.
absolutely.
Yeah. So sorry, what was the question again? Could you?
No, I was just saying, like, did you ever consider just like saying fuck it and just, you know, coasting it down to LA and like, you know, doing it the whole old fashioned way? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I just never did, just because of like our upbringing in Saratoga High
Yeah.
School. I feel like
Yeah.
you had to go to college, you know, almost.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get that, right? Because like I feel like I have that same predicament. Like I'm sitting here with like, yes, like I mean, I look at my views on YouTube and I'm like, yeah, I have like 15 views on the podcast. But like I sit here and I'm like, I see myself like doing this full time eventually. Why am I going to school? Like is it really like worth it to me? And like I've just had that fight in my head
Yeah,
constantly, you know what I'm saying?
I feel like because of the high school experience we had, like it was almost like a oh, you reach like this level and then you get to the next level kind of thing,
Yeah.
where I was like, oh, like I just need to get my degree and that's it.
I feel that, right? And
Yeah.
like I bet you got there and you saw like so many different people from like all different walks of life, and your perspective just opens up like immediately. It's like,
Or
wait,
it closes off in a
that
way.
too, depending on like where you go.
Because since I went to like a liberal arts college, everyone was pretty, there was definitely like a stereotypical Emerson kid. And it was
Okay.
definitely like not closed-minded in a way, but like very set in their ways. And like there were people that were really pretentious
Oh,
and really, really out there.
so explain like the stereotypical film school kid for like a lot of people who don't know what that is.
How do I put it nicely without being mean? I feel like
I don't fucking care. This is
I
no
think it's
censors.
just like a lot of entitled people that have like big egos, even though we're in like film school. Like no one's Steven Spielberg yet. No one's like a David Fincher. You can't really
Yeah.
just treat people like shit just because you think you're like the shit, you know?
No, I get that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because a lot of them like come from backgrounds of like, is there a lot of nepotism, like even in like the film school like you went to, like, oh, his uncle is fucking,
yeah, no, for
you know,
sure.
Steve Carell or whatever.
I never met the kid, but people kept talking about how the director of I, Tanya, his son was like in our grade. And you always hear like that, like this one kid, like you'll always hear stories like I knew this one kid who dropped out and became a music video director, and like he's very successful, you know, in it. And like there are just a lot of stories like that, and it's just always like a looming thing, you know, up there.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I feel like it's just, that's so interesting that like you went to a liberal arts school and you kind of experienced that, and like I had like culture shock when I went to like my liberal arts school. But that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it was completely different. I mean, film school, I'm sure, has like money coming into it constantly. You have like people of who come from like directly from like Hollywood families, you know, whose parents are paying like $70,000 a year to send them there, right? So
Yeah, and then you get some kids that like were just like, I'll try film out. It sounds cool, and like they don't really know like
yeah,
what they're doing at all. And the thing is about Emerson is that it's a great school. It's just like it's a big theater school, which is great for acting and for getting actors for films and stuff. But it is like a pretty big culture, not issue, but it does weigh the culture in a certain way, you know, of the school. Like it makes it a very dramatic environment. There's a lot of like issues that we had as a school.
interesting.
There was like a Title IX scandal where people like wrote the names of abusers like on the walls, and because of that, the Title IX
Right.
didn't go through because the names have been made public, and so I feel like it was just like there's a lot of people that kind of take it upon themselves or are really entitled in that way to kind of like take action, you know, which is good in certain situations. I just think that you kind of need to think things through before you do things, you know?
For sure. For sure. I mean, I totally get that, right? Because I mean, I went to a liberal arts school, and a particular part of the liberal arts school that I was in was kind of known for like almost closing themselves off in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
because they were like a center within the university. And they were like kind of closed off, and they kind of just like only hung out with each other. So like it was weird because like I feel like there wasn't any outside university influence, but more so it was just everyone within that particular center was like very like, you know, it's close quarters. So like obviously you're gonna have like problems, and people are gonna get into fights, and everyone hears about it. And like that was, you know, it's definitely like a major problem.
Yeah.
That
I don't even think the issue I listed before was really like a culture issue. I think it's like the administration was also just like not good at handling things. So
right.
I think I had a very like mixed experience just like at liberal arts
that.
college. But
so like if you had to say, I mean, so you kind of talked about it and briefly mentioned it earlier, like do you actually think like film school was worth it in the grand scheme of things? And like did you learn anything new, or like do you think your time could have been better spent maybe creating a brand for yourself in LA, or maybe doing something else besides film school?
this is a hard one. Because even when like my whole view on film school kind of flopped.
Say it.
Because like the first like when I first got in, I was like, oh, like, you know, it's about what you do there. You're an individual. It's like how you use the resources, what you do, and how you make an impact. And that's kind of like it's what you do at the time. And if you build up your portfolio, if you build a network out, then you succeeded. Like that's what you do. But going to film school and just like going, it's the first step. Like we were talking about before with the script. Like there's many steps afterwards to make it worth it. And so to answer the question of if I think it's worth it, I think it's worth it if you have the means to pay for it. But otherwise, I think it's a good idea to just go down to LA and like work sets as a PA and like build your way up that way, you know?
For sure. For sure.
And for me, like I have a really decent resume of media industry stuff because freshman year I came in and I was like, I really want to make sure that I get something like out of this, you know, like I really want a solid resume. That way, once I get out of college, like, you know, it won't be an issue finding a job because the film industry is really tough. Like it is a really hard industry. So the first thing I did was I got an unpaid internship, and from there, like it kind of built out my resume. I went from that unpaid internship, which is really shitty and terrible, but I did it anyways. And then I went to MIT and did video production for them. And then from MIT, I got the Apple internship. And then from the Apple internship, I got Paramount. And now I'm here at Coinbase.
You kind of just like went level to level to level kind of thing, right?
Yeah, in a way. And there were definitely hard spots. Because like even if your resume is really good, like if the job market's bad, like you're not going to find a job, you know?
For sure.
That's how it is. But yeah, that's kind of like what my journey was, you know?
I mean, how do you think like film has like been affected by, I mean, obviously people can't shoot because of COVID and stuff. Like, how have like employees like, or like people like you who are like really trying to break in, just got out of college, like how have you guys been affected by this whole thing?
A lot of people are leaving LA to move back home or have done that. recently though, it's kind of come back in like a surge. Like my friends down in LA who are working sets, they kind of been saying that they're busier than they were even pre-COVID, just because like there's a rush to catch up. And I'm sure in recent weeks that's gone down because of the lockdowns and LA being just like a cesspool of COVID now.
Right.
But it's really affected the industry in like numerous ways. It's hard to even like start with that subject. From a business perspective, so I was at Paramount, and we actually saw this coming in the coming weeks, like before the national emergency happened. I was working there, and there was a movie shooting, which I don't think I can name, but it was shooting internationally.
Oh, you can't? Can you name it now or no?
It's. I mean, I don't think so. It got pushed way back because of COVID.
Fair. Okay, that makes sense. I was like, if it's like done, maybe, but no.
There was an issue where an editor who was working on the film, who was in America, didn't want to meet with the crew to kind of like talk through the footage and everything, because they were filming in a foreign place. They were filming in Japan, and so he was really worried about COVID. Like, and this was like a month before the national emergency, and so that was like the first kind of inkling I heard about it, about how it would affect like studios and everything. And so from there, we kind of had to rent a whole building for the crew that was coming from Japan, just so they could work there and be like quarantined for 2 weeks. And then eventually it just progressed where Paramount shut down, was no longer open. And then my internship was terminated.
That's tough.
Yeah, it was terrible. And so a lot of people's jobs are affected, but it is slowly coming back down. It's a bit of an issue because it's a big liability if someone on set does catch COVID, because they have to shut down the whole set. So studios are trying to find like ways around that, but like, I don't know, we'll see how things go with the recent lockdowns and everything.
For sure. So you've done like have you done like PA work or anything? Like, not to
No, I actually haven't PA'd on set. On like any professional sets or anything. I kind of view it as this. There's like two ways in the film industry, and one is kind of working your way as a PA up the ladder. And being a PA is great if you want to like work your way up to being like a grip or an electrician or someone that's more on the crew side. But if you're like someone like us where we want to be like a writer, it's better to almost just work a normal job, like a 9-to-5, and write in your free time. Since it's hard to support yourself with only writing, so
that makes sense.
Yeah. So there is kind of like a business oriented path in the film industry where you work your way up through the studio system, and that path leads to becoming like a studio exec. But obviously a lot of people jump ship and become like writers, directors, stuff like that. The one thing I learned at Paramount was that everybody in the office is always working on their own projects on the side, like on weekends and stuff, and they're always doing their own things. So it's kind of just like a day job almost for them.
Explain, like, I want you to go more in like detail of like, did you notice like when you were at Paramount, like there was a shit ton of like politics in terms of like what got picked, or like, like different things, like even amongst like I know like you obviously weren't like as high up to like know what projects were being selected, but like in terms of just like what you saw, did you see like a lot of competition, a lot of like cutthroat behavior? Like kind of describe
I actually didn't, and this might be because it's post Me Too era, and I think they've like tried to weed out all the bad people basically.
For sure.
There were a few people that were kind of not super kind, and that could have just been because I was an intern and they were like, who is this guy? Like, I don't need to fucking interact with him. But for the most part, everybody was pretty nice. Everybody was really professional, and it was almost like our floor on the post-production in the post-production like facility, it was almost like a little like family that we had. The surprising thing about like studios like that is that on the creative side there's only like 130 employees like total, and there's like 800 other jobs on the Paramount lot that are like business, marketing, stuff like that. So the creative side is actually really tiny. And to go back to your point about how they kind of pick movies, there's they have specific people in the job that they do market research, and they kind of like estimate what are the pros and cons of a movie with such and such budget, and what are the risks if it doesn't do well or if it does do well, because a movie actually isn't profitable just from its theater run. It's profitable from the after DVD sales. And it's kind of the cumulative profit that it gets from like the whole experience of like going to theaters, coming out like on streaming and then on DVDs, and if they can license it, stuff like that. So that's kind of how they decide. That's a big factor in how they decide like what movies to make.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting, right? Because like I feel like movies are just like, when we see movies as like the consumer, we're just like, oh, like they're making money off of us because we're paying tickets to go see it in the theater. But like,
Yeah,
the fact is, like, each individual movie in itself is almost like its own business, like within the macro business of the studio, right?
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is it's kind of all just like, if you're a production coordinator like I am currently, it's all just project management, which is pretty transferable from if you're like in a business job at like Oracle or like somewhere like that. You could probably find some way to get in with that angle. But it is kind of interesting because there are, on the crew side, there are no 9-to-5 jobs. It's all freelance work. And so that's why people kind of struggle in the industry, is because even if you're working on a TV show, it is guaranteed hours, but it's not a 9-to-5 that's every day for like 52 weeks of the year. It's a certain amount of weeks. And so there's like a struggle to find jobs because of that. And then on the writer's side, there's something called staffing season where shows pick up writers. And the way that it's been explained to me is that if you're able to get into the writer's room, usually as a new person, you have usually it could be like a 20-week contract. But usually it's like a 10-week contract. And at the 10-week interval, they'll assess whether they want to keep you in the writer's room or not. And if they don't, then they just kind of kick you out. But it kind of works that way, where it's like you're working like 20 weeks of the year, and the rest of the year you're like working on your own projects or you're off.
Yeah, dude. People talk about Silicon Valley being pressure. Oh man. I think Hollywood's a different level. Like,
Whole different level. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, because like, see, the thing is, like, with the Valley, like, this is no offense to all you Valley folk out there. Like, there are 9-to-5 jobs available if you want to be, like, if you have a computer science degree, right? And you can go and, like, it's almost like a fallback plan, right? There's no like 10-week contract like you were describing with writers or anything like that. Like, it's, if you do like the decent amount of work, like, you can maintain your job. It's kind of just like classic middle management type thing. But and if you want to like do your own business and start your own startup, you have the ability to do that while also making like a decent amount of income on the side. But I think with Hollywood, the problem is, like you were saying, it's just a lot of sort of contract-based work, and it's basically like betting on yourself in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, you kind of just have to put yourself out there. It's hard. Like I give major props to people who just move out to LA and start peeing on sets and stuff. It's like a whole world, and like I just couldn't imagine myself doing that. Just because like I hate the 9-to-5 like workflow. Like I really dislike it, but it is consistent pay, and you can kind of plan for it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever like had that debate in your mind? Are you like, ugh, like I hate 9-to-5, but also like I hate 9-to-5, but like also financial stability. But like it's like I hate 9-to-5. It's like, do you have that debate in your head? Like, damn, what if I just like quit and just try to go PA? Like,
I mean, I think the plan is for me, like I never really have that debate, because for me, I kind of always had this plan where I'm like I'll work a 9-to-5 and get that pay, and then just use that to fund my own projects, or just like write on the side, hopefully get into competitions, and hopefully eventually get representation to eventually get into writer's room. Like my goal is to get into writer's room within like 3 years. So hopefully that happens. I really want to work in like TV writing in that industry. So
I think it'll happen. I mean, I've seen your shit since high school, dude. Like, you're insane. I mean, like the quality of, like, I kid everybody not on this. Like the quality that this, because you are 3 years older than me. So when you were a senior in high school, I was a freshman. And I remember, and we had this program called the Media Arts program at our high school. And essentially we all got to make films and projects and various things for our classes. And our senior year, we have this thing called the senior project. and this kid and Saro was like, obviously known as one of the film goats at our high school. Everyone was like, oh, Saro, like he knows how to do his thing, and like, he was respected, very respected. And then we have this annual award showcase called Smashin'. And so when Smashin' took place that year, Saro's film was like super hyped. And I can't remember if it won. Did it win?
No, it didn't.
It didn't win, but I remember Saro showed me drafts of his like film like throughout like the process and everything. My God. And like the final product, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Like
Thank you, man.
it's so good. I kid like everybody not like that year was also just insane. There was a bunch of other really nice
Yeah. My class had a lot of really great film people. And like I'm still in touch with a few of them. I don't know if you remember like Mark Semery, Dithy of Empathy, like Luke Salin. He's like one of my closest friends. Like they're all great film people, and they're all like working on their own stuff now.
That's super dope.
It's been interesting to see like where they turned up.
Yeah, I mean, soon. Like, what if I just hear the name like Luke Salin one day and just walking down the
You
street?
might, yeah.
Oh, damn. That'd be super. Saro Acharya, guys, note down that name. It's coming. He's gonna be writing on the next version of New Girl, whatever that is. So
hopefully that'd be amazing.
yeah. So have you like ever been to a movie premiere or anything?
I haven't been to a movie premiere, but I have been to a movie release party.
Okay, what's that
for
like?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Take us through the whole thing.
So I walk in, and Paramount's having like a giant like party for Sonic because it did super well at the box office, and despite like the whole controversy with him looking ugly, they fixed it.
Yeah.
And that was like a big win. And I actually had an intern friend that was doing social media and like market research for Paramount during that whole controversy, and it was like it must have been crazy for her as an intern to see.
Yeah.
But I walk in to work, and there's like a blue carpet for Sonic, and there's like the Sonic rings everywhere, and like there's a guy in a Sonic costume walking around the lot taking photos with people, and there's like Sonic like cupcakes and like Sonic like champagne and like Sonic, like it was just all the Sonic shit that was just like laid out there. And it was cool to see, but it was just like it was a lot. It was also kind of terrifying because Sonic is very terrifying to see in real life,
Dude, Sonic is so cool, bro. But I heard that movie was absolute trash.
I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
You haven't seen your no.
Yeah, dude, they showed it 4 times on the Paramount lot, and I didn't catch any of the screenings. I should
have gone. That would have been cool.
But I remember at Emerson, I had a friend who went to the Parasite after party at the Oscars, and he said he said it was lit. He said the cast like went super hard that night, but it was I don't know. I bet it was amazing.
Yeah, didn't like the director of Parasite, wasn't he like, oh, I'm gonna drink till the morning?
yeah. Apparently they were at like a Korean barbecue place till like 2 a.m. too after.
That's
or like 5 a.m. after the Oscars, something like that.
Dope.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's super cool. I mean, you should have just fucking taken a picture with Sonic at that point. Like if you're at the release party.
Man. I don't know, dude. I don't want to get close to him, just in case.
Oh my God.
Just in case, dude.
Do you really have a fear of Sonic the Hedgehog?
No, I mean, it's just you saw the trailer for this movie. He looks fucking scary. Okay.
I mean, the movie, like, so can you like, did you work on like the post-production for like fixing Sonic?
No, I because the movie was already done by the time I was there. Yeah.
Because like I remember seeing like the trailer and the memes, like everyone was just like, "Why does Sonic look like a freaking blue piece of shit?" Like it looked horrible. And then like they fixed it. I mean, I don't know if it was like color correction or like what it was, but
yeah,
man, that must have been long hours for those poor editors.
So I mean, what you said kind of brings up a good point or an interesting point is that so I didn't actually personally work on any of the movies. I helped out and like assisted the movie teams with stuff. So this is kind of how it works. Paramount has or any studio really has like a post-production like facilities, staff, stuff like that. And then there's the movies that are kind of like those people are freelancers basically, and it's like a project that they host on the studio lot, and the people working on it can use the facilities and can use the assist of the people who run the facilities. So I was under the facilities people and kind of like helping administer like coloring sessions. There's like this one Mark Wahlberg time travel movie. I think It was eventually going to come out on Netflix. I don't know if it ever did.
What's it? Man, what was it called?
Do you kind of know which one I'm talking about? Did it come out?
I've heard like Mark Wahlberg and time travel, and I'm pretty sure I've watched it.
Yeah, like, so I was there helping out the team with the coloring session for the trailer of it. And then
That's cool.
there were a few productions like being edited like down the hallway from me. Like I would walk by and like Coming to America 2 would be like being edited. There's one called Monsters. I don't know whatever really happened to a lot of these projects because of COVID. I know Coming to America is coming out on Amazon like next month, but
hey,
the rest of
I'll
them,
definitely check that out.
yeah, the rest of them I have like no idea like what really happened to them.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So did you see like other shows also like filming on the lot? Like would you walk by? Because I remember you told me
Yeah.
like one time I was like, oh yeah, I walked by and I saw like This Is Us being filmed.
Yeah. So the This Is Us cast was
Okay, go for it.
I
Please.
like.
You have the full
I
score.
I saw them so many times, and I don't know. Like I don't watch the show, but I know Sterling K. Brown because he's Sterling K. Brown. And I would always see him, because I would walk to get coffee or to get my lunch. And at the same time, I think they would break for lunch and he would go to the executive dining room, which is like the fancy cafeteria they have for people that want to pay a lot. He would always be walking there as I'd be walking to lunch, and I'd always just see him. And there'd always be like productions happening on the lot, which was cool to see.
Could you like, were there rules that you like couldn't approach them, or like could you approach them, or like would they like be mad, or like?
No, it's just like not professional to do it. Like I saw Ryan Reynolds there for his new movie Free Guy. They were shooting pickup shots of it in Paramount, which is funny because most of the movie was actually shot in Boston while I was there in Boston. And so like it's almost like he followed me there.
Yeah, Ryan did follow you there, bro.
Yeah. Oh really? Oh man, I have a stalker.
Dude, yeah, clearly.
My friend got to meet Tom Cruise on the Paramount lot. Who else? There was one more person I saw. Do you know Damien Chazelle, the director?
Yeah, La La Land, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
I grabbed lunch with my friend at Lemonade, which is like a very LA spot. And it's down the road from Paramount. And we were walking back, and we were talking about how like we heard rumblings that Damien Chazelle was going to film like this really early Hollywood type movie on the Paramount lot. And
was that La La Land or?
no, it wasn't La La Land.
Oh, okay.
It's like this new project that he's working on. I have another story about that, but
okay, yeah, you could tell.
We walked by, and there's like a huge group of people, and it's like studio execs, like people in suits and shit. And then like we see just someone sitting on the curb, and it was like Damien Chazelle, and he's just sitting down while all the other studio execs were like standing, and there was like a whole group of people around him, and I don't know what he was doing, but it looked like they were all like followers, and he was just like speaking the truth or something. I don't know.
You should just join in.
They would have like immediately known that we're two like college kids. But the funny thing is that not the funny thing, but I actually had to. So what he was doing was he was doing research for his new movie, which is like an old time Hollywood type movie that he's like, I think just now going to production for. But he was like watching. He would rent out the theaters on the Paramount lot and watch original prints of like Martin Scorsese films, and actually had to deliver the prints a few times to the theater so that they could play it for him. And
That's
so
crazy.
they gave me a golf cart in the Paramount lot, and I would just like take the prints from one place to another. And having a golf cart was super fun on the Paramount lot. Like I would just go on my breaks to like the New York, Boston, like the fake New York, Boston sets.
Yeah.
Just like drive around the streets and be like,
That's
like I'm
cool.
back in Boston, you know?
Would you try to like spot people? Like if you knew like, oh shit, like, you know, whatever, like Ryan Reynolds is on set today. I'm going to, you know, just try.
Yeah. Like we would just like go for walks, you know, on our breaks and try to see like
Yeah.
Tom Cruise or, you know, yeah.
Did you ever like just want to go approach someone? Like, were you ever just tempted? Were you like, all right, you know what? I know it's unprofessional, but like, I really want to talk to that person.
I think if they had been like alone and like I just saw them like sitting somewhere, I would have been like, oh, like I love your work. And as just like a passing by kind of thing. Everyone I saw was surrounded by like a ton of people. Like Ryan Reynolds was obviously in the middle of filming Free Guy. Yeah. So
what about Sterling K. Brown, man? My man from This Is Us.
He's really intimidating. He's also really tall, so
he's like 6'5", right? 6'4", something like that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh
so
man. I would also be very intimidated.
Yeah.
He's like jacked too. Like,
yeah, I bet. Like I don't know. It was surreal, like seeing all of those people in real life. But yeah, it was a fun experience.
Dude, if I saw This Is Us cast on set on like anywhere like in the street, I think I would pass out.
Like no cap. Like damn, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
So they film on Paramount?
Yeah. There's usually like a lot of stuff filming on the lot.
I knew New Girl filmed at Paramount.
I don't know if they did they
Or
really?
the exterior shot of like, you know, like their loft. I think it was at Paramount.
It's
I'm pretty sure.
the exterior shot of the loft is like in the district in LA.
Oh,
It's like one
really?
building in particular.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was. I don't know why I thought it was Paramount, but whatever.
They film. I think it's called Grace and Frankie on Netflix at Paramount.
I've heard of that show. Yeah.
Yeah. So they'd always be filming. I remember it'd be like they'd be in like one corner of the lot, and then like usually there'd be like a movie filming in like the New York Boston section, and then like This Is Us would be filming like at the very front of the lot. So there'd be like 2 or 3 things like filming at once.
That's cool.
On the Paramount lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of crazy. To see. And like I remember just walking around one day and there were like a ton of extras like in like schoolgirl clothing and stuff like that, and like it's just real to like be in that environment, because like every day you like walk in and you're like, oh, there's like a group of doctors right there just walking around, but they're actors, you know, so it's like it's interesting to
that is
kind of be
really
like
cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
Yeah. So not to like pivot completely, but kind of what was like, so take me kind of back to like your senior year of high school. Like, what was your parents' reaction when you told them like, hey, like I want to do film? Like, did they always know like, oh, like this one's going to be humanities or creative? Like, what was their initial impression when you were like, I'm going to go all in on this kind of Hollywood dream?
There was never like a moment like that for me where I just
Okay.
told them I was going to go all in. I think they always just knew
Fair.
and expected it. So it wasn't like a big, I don't know, like a big thing, you know, because
Mhm.
they knew what I was doing in the media arts program.
Yeah.
And also my parents are second gen, so they're they're like very Americanized, you know, so
Yeah.
they're pretty open to it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I mean, follow your dreams, right? Screw it. Did you like get any pushback from anyone, or were you just like always told like, you know what, go do what you got to do?
Maybe a little from my mom, because she went to journalism school and it didn't really like pan out too well for her, and now she's like a nurse. But yeah, that's kind of it. Like, and even when she did kind of push back against it, she wasn't like, don't do it. She was just like, oh, like have a backup plan, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure.
Yeah.
But like, have you had, okay, and then this is going to pivot again, back to what we were talking about. So have you had like,
my jacket.
Oh, okay.
It's too high, you know?
Yeah. I'm really spitting heat with these questions. The heat transfers virtually now. But like, have you had any, so like, I know you talked about like bumping into like Sterling K. Brown or like Damien Chazelle on set, but like, have you had personal like interactions with celebrities or not?
No, I haven't had any like personal,
Cool.
Yeah.
All
you
right.
hear rumors about people around Hollywood, and that's like the extent. Like I'm like always like 1 or 2 removed.
Can you give us a couple rumors maybe?
No.
No?
I don't want to.
Oh God. Okay, you're gonna have to give it to me after. Tell us like the most Hollywood thing that you've experienced while working on set, or like just in Hollywood.
Not on set, but the first day I walk into Paramount in the offices, like literally the first day, in my introduction to all of Paramount, someone was yelling at someone else on the phone and was like, "You need to fucking get us the cut like right now. Like you're 2 days like overdrafted. Like you guys have to pay like $100K to us for the rentals. Like you need to do this right now." He was like screaming at the top of his lungs, and it was just
that was the first thing you heard when you walked in.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like this guy's gonna be like one of those big execs.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
you're like, oh, it's Entourage all over again.
Yeah, kind of. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be this guy's gonna be like the Ari Gold of the office.
Yeah,
you know? So,
that would man, that would have been an experience. Like, oh man, I can't even imagine. Like, that's the crazy part though, is like I've watched Entourage back and forth maybe twice. And for those of you who haven't watched it, it's like one of the best shows I think I've seen. Do you think, and I've heard this from like articles I've read and stuff on like Entertainment Weekly that have said like Entourage is one of the most like, this is obviously like pre-Me Too, one of the most like accurate representations of like what it is to work in Hollywood. Would you agree with that to a certain extent?
I would agree with it to a certain extent in that it's like really exaggerated, but
okay.
To also put into perspective, some of the crazy shit that happens is very believable for like what would happen in Hollywood. And like I feel like that's more representative of like the older Hollywood of like 20 years ago, when it was filmed.
Right.
And I've talked to like people that have been in the industry for a while, and I'm like my old professor, he sold his movie for $2 million when he was 23 to the Weinstein Company.
Wow.
And he eventually ended up like moving out of Hollywood just because it wasn't for him. He said that like the execs there kind of had this priority of like driving like 100 down Sunset, like with the windows down, like high on coke, was like what he said. And he was like, I just wasn't, like into that. And I remember him also talking about like the rumors about Harvey Weinstein and how people kind of like, they vaguely knew. Some
Okay.
people definitely knew, and then other people like more removed were like,
That's
definitely were
crazy.
hearing things about him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jesus, that's crazy. I mean, like, I bet like Hollywood's a small town, obviously, right? So you like hear everything from everybody. Like, that's, jeez. Oh, man.
It's getting bigger though with all the social
That is
media
true.
stars and
So
stuff.
like,
So
that's my next question is like, do you see kind of like, you were talking a little bit about like how in retrospect to Entourage, like it kind of just represents an older time in Hollywood where like studio cuts were a thing and like smartphones didn't exist and Facebook and Instagram were like babies. Like, do you see like now that there's just like so many different like entry points almost into Hollywood? Like more so than before.
yeah, no, there definitely are. And YouTube is like a
Mm-hmm.
big way for people to get in. TikTok now is like a big way for people to get in.
For sure.
The one thing I will say is that there's only a few people that like really break in and like permeate the mainstream. There's only like a few I can think of off the top of my head that are like in like mainstream stuff,
Yeah.
like
I mean, I'll give you a name, which is like I think she has done insane, like in terms of just being able to permeate like mainstream culture. I think Charlie D'Amelio has just like fucking
yeah.
created something that like, I mean, she just like basically through dancing in her fucking bathroom in Connecticut or wherever the fuck she used to live,
Yeah.
basically just annihilated like or created a new space for her like in Hollywood. I think that's insane. Like a
Yeah.
15-year-old girl could do that.
I like, the thing is that she's still mostly a social media star though. Like her
Yeah.
main platforms are social media. I'm talking about people that like
Okay.
break through Hollywood. And I had a name. Shawn Mendes. Like he's definitely like the biggest example I can think of someone who went from like Vine. He was even in like MagCon. And then now he's like one of the biggest singers in the world, So there's a very select few of those people who can like really take their efforts off whatever platform they started on and like kind of break into the traditional media. And like some would even say that like it's better to stay on social media. Like I bet like Logan Paul probably prefers social media at this point than like
I mean, I think
media.
Logan has also like, to his credit, I know that's a hot take, but but like he has like to an extent, like I know he's done like shows before, like he had like a show on YouTube Premium.
He had like a movie and like
Yeah.
none of that really like panned out.
It didn't pan out, but like
Yeah.
I think they're like you're starting to see social media. I think another one that maybe doesn't get talked about as much because it's low-key traditional media, but someone who like kind of went from like that childhood TV star role, like Zendaya. Like she's someone who
was she on social media before?
I mean, she wasn't on social media.
Channel,
she was like the Disney Channel star. So like I think
Yeah.
that was almost the version of like an Instagram star, like a TikTok star of our generation, right?
You know what's
Like,
interesting is that even Donald Glover went from YouTube to mainstream media. He had a YouTube channel. He had a skit YouTube channel with his two other friends at NYU.
I just thought of a name, but go for it.
Yeah, and their YouTube videos got so big that they eventually got a movie deal, and that's what was like his first like introduction to the mainstream, which is crazy to think about because that was like 10 years ago. I don't know, something like a crazy long time ago,
Yeah. I had a name. I don't know if you've heard of him, but I think you must have. Jimmy Tatro.
Yeah, of course, Jimmy Tatro.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's straight up YouTube. Like,
I just saw that brought up recently on Twitter. His role in 22 Jump Street. Like, he plays it perfectly. Like he's definitely someone that.
I really like Jimmy Tatro. I think the only problem that I see like with him potentially, and this is like a very little problem, is I think he can just has the potential of just getting typecasted for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
Like,
as like the douchebag kind of
yeah.
jock kind of
And he's
role.
just
Yeah.
like, I mean, because he can play that excellently. Like, he can do
Yeah.
that one thing so well, but like, I don't know, like, where he's trying to go and like what he's trying to do. Like, if he wants to be a douchebag for the rest of his life as an actor, like, oh my God, he can make
Yeah.
millions, right?
And I
Like,
feel like the paradigm has shifted where it's like a lot of social media stars that are coming up don't even want to break into the traditional media. It's just not like,
right.
you know, profitable for them to like make a
Mhm.
movie or to star in a movie and
Yeah.
do the whole thing, you know, because if it's not successful, then like what's the point? You would be better off making blogs and stuff, you know?
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is I feel like social media and like traditional media have always just kind of been at like a battleground with one another, right?
Yeah.
Because social media is kind of this like rising challenger and traditional media has been alive for so long, you know?
Yeah. And
And
a lot of people, a lot of players in traditional media are really, I think they're afraid of it. And that's why there's that like
right.
tension,
Because
you know?
I mean, we all know like short form content is king. Like
Yeah.
that's how you see like TV shows just like getting like you see mainstream traditional media actors like Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell doing shows like the morning show on Apple TV, right?
Yeah.
Who at like signing big ass budget deals to do short form content again. So, you know, and I think that's just because of our attention span and like us as Gen Z and millennials, we just don't like to sit in
See,
front
the
of
thing is though, that's not like short form content. That's just like because morning show is like what, like half an hour to an hour long.
what you I mean I guess what I mean by short form content is more so like bingeable content, maybe. Is that a better
Maybe
word for it? Yeah.
I think we might be talking about like two different things, where there's like the social media side, which is shifting Hollywood, and then there's like the streaming side that's also
That's
shifting
fair.
Hollywood in a
Yeah.
different way, you know.
Yeah, I
um
think yeah.
and there's like crossover between both. Streaming is a whole different, like whole different beast, and especially like right now, with Disney like really coming for Netflix's throat. We'll see like what happens with all of the streaming stuff, because there's like everybody has a streaming service now. Like how are you supposed to, you know, keep up with it?
Yeah.
And like
okay.
the business of it is really interesting to me. Like I remember doing case studies about it back in college, and like Netflix is like, so I seeing their earnings this quarter, or last quarter. I think it was like they spent 24 billion and they made 2 billion. So the margins are kind of small, and 2 billion is still huge, but
yeah.
I'm just wondering like where, you know, like where does this go? You know, like
Right.
how does Netflix, you know, survive now that Disney Plus and like every other streaming service is, you know, kind of growing and coming for them?
No, for sure. I mean, I think now that you have like all these streaming platforms, and like the content is just so much more easier to access in today's
Yeah.
day and age. And I feel like these streaming providers think that like, or these streaming providers are dumping money into creators and creatives to like almost just create, or well, no shit, but they dump money into these projects so that, you know, people will watch them and pay those
Yeah.
subscription fees and all that. And like now you see literally there's like when streaming first became a thing, it was like Netflix. And I remember the first original like Netflix show that I really remember was like Orange is the New Black. And then was like House of Cards, right?
Yeah.
Can we say House of Cards anymore? Cancellation. But like, so it was Netflix, and then Amazon Prime kind of started to like come up. You know, I remember they had it. I forget what the Mr. Robot, right? I think that was the first one on Amazon that I remember. Man in the High Castle too.
Mr.
And
Robot
then,
was more, it was aired on TV, but it is also on Amazon Prime. So
it's yeah, but you know what I mean? It's like considered like an Amazon show.
yeah,
now,
yeah. It's like how
right?
it's like how Breaking Bad popped off because it was added to Netflix. It's like in the same way Mr. Robot popped off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool too, to an extent, right? Because you're seeing, and I like that because you're seeing a lot of these older shows just kind of like get revived, quote unquote, in a lot of ways. I mean, look at Breaking Bad. They've literally been able to make spin-offs like Better Call Saul and all this other stuff.
It's
like,
all great too.
Look at Friends. Friends went from like, you know, like people like kind of forgetting about it to as soon as it dropped on Netflix, like, holy shit, like the world started to remember like who everybody was again. And now there's this huge demand for Friends content.
It's interesting what like the whole thing with HBO Max this year, where they're taking all of their movies that would normally come out in theaters and like kind of releasing it on streaming. Like there's a lot of controversy around that on the creative side, because it kind of screws over like the people who worked on the movie, like the directors, writers. Like they didn't agree to being on a streaming service. They expected it to be like, you know, out in theaters.
That makes
And
sense. Yeah.
yeah, like that's kind of like a whole thing. And I don't think that it's actually like a profitable model. I think they're using it to kind of supercharge HBO Max to be like a competitor to Netflix and Disney
Yeah.
Plus. Um,
What's your
so
favorite streaming platform? You have to pick one.
Netflix, still Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say still Netflix. Yeah.
Well, okay, so that's interesting because a lot of my friends and we
Yeah.
really have just started to like backtrack on Netflix.
Yeah.
So like
What's your number one then?
honestly, dude, you're gonna probably hate me because you were just talking about it. HBO Max. I really
no,
like HBO Max.
like HBO Max is definitely like my number two. Like they've
Mm-hmm.
as someone who loves movies, like HBO Max is so much
Yeah.
to offer like in that way. So
But the thing is, I like every single streaming platform for different shows. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I love Netflix because they have like one of my favorite originals, like On My Block. Like, if you guys haven't watched On My Block, go watch it. But like On My Block and fucking there's a bunch of other originals that I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. But they had, and like what's cool about Netflix is that they have like sometimes like shows like from CBS or NBC will come on Netflix, and I'm a big cable network TV hoe.
Yeah.
So like I love cable network TV. So like there's a show called The Unicorn that I just like binged on Netflix. It's fantastic. I've watched the first season. And then but like Netflix, like, and then New Girl. I have to keep Netflix for New Girl. I just
yeah,
love
New Girl's amazing. I love New Girl.
Yeah, I think that's crazy too. Is like if we could talk about that for a second. New Girl is like one of those shows where like I have met a variety of different people in my life, and they have a variety of different interests. But New Girl really just unifies a lot of different crowds.
I think
together.
there's a preconception about New Girl where it's like you hear the title New Girl and you're like,
yeah,
oh, it's like a chick.
literally like everyone's
of,
like, oh, it's a chick flick, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But it's not. It's like, I mean, there's way more to it. Like, and I think the characters are really entertaining to watch, and it's like the writing is like pretty good on New Girl. I think it's
really
a good show.
I like the writing. I think it's really funny. I think whoever writes Schmidt is hilarious. Like, oh my god, some of the shit that comes out of his mouth is just so funny.
I was researching the pitch deck for New Girl, and it was originally this show called Chicks and Dicks was the original title, which is even worse. Like that would have been, I feel like that
I would have not turned that show on. Like,
yeah, like that would have definitely sunk the show. Like there's no way that would have survived. But
oh, I remember reading this. You sent it to me.
Oh, I did probably.
Yeah, who was on it? It was fucking there was this like other random character. Like, Coach was supposed to be like a white dude, right? A fat white guy.
Fat white dude, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, like it sounds so different from what eventually came out in the final product. And so that's just like a perfect case of like, you know, like what you put down in writing might not be like what comes out. And the show creator is probably a genius, but the initial pitch he had, like I just don't see
I mean, I don't know how they flipped it like that.
Yeah, I don't know how they took it from where it was to what it became.
I mean, you could see elements of it, right? Like there was like Schmidt was basically the same.
Yeah.
I know Nick was a little different. I think that Nick was like successful actually, and like they had Nick being a little more douchier than he actually was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
So I mean, but it was kind of cool, like to see how they flipped it. Jess was the same.
I mean, she's like the core of the show, you know. So like she has. I think Zooey Deschanel was always attached to it. I think
really?
so.
Okay.
They probably.
I mean,
like wrote her with it. Like,
can you see anyone else playing Jess? No.
No, like I definitely can't.
Like, that's her.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see if I have one more. Have you ever tried to give YouTube a shot?
I mean, I have. It was back in high school.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah, I hit.
I do remember.
1.5 thousand subscribers, so 1,500.
That's kind of cool.
And then I kind of just gave up after. Just wasn't feeling the platform and the type of content. Like, I think what really propelled me in YouTube was like almost the community. Because I made some friends on there that were like other small channels, and like getting to know people on there was like pretty cool. Because everyone was like, you know, wanting to be like a video creator or do film stuff, and at the time YouTube was an interesting place in like 2015, 2014. I was seeing content that like I would want to watch. And now I look at YouTube and I'm like, oh, it's like really.
This is more so like the our Dobrik was just coming up around this
time,
I
remember.
right?
So I remember finding Dobrik when he had like like 100,000 subscribers, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like who is this kid?
Yeah.
You know?
Do you
Yeah.
remember? Okay, this is my biggest fucking gold. You know this. This is my biggest gold mine YouTuber I've ever found. I found Yes Theory. I'm saying it right here. I found Yes Theory at 90K, and I sent it to Saro, and I was like, they're gonna be raw as fuck one day.
Yeah,
Called it.
I remember. No, I remember you sent it to me, and I like didn't watch any of the videos, and then like I think when they were on like 1 mil was when I like saw their video on trending, and I was like, oh shit, like that's the group that Anuj mentioned.
Yeah.
So
And
that's when I started watching their videos. You know.
I found them at 90K, and I was like, how do these guys only have 90,000 followers? I thought they were incredible.
My like hipsterish claim to similar to the one you have is I found Post Malone before he like really blew up. Like the White Iverson music video, I remember watching it like when it had just been posted, like, and it was like
That's
super
kind of
small.
cool. That is kind of cool.
And like I just didn't expect this like white dude with like braids to like be one of the biggest like stars today. You know? I never thought like that would happen.
I'm trying to think like who else have like my brother found what's it called? My brother found Jack Harlow back in like 2016, 2017.
He's been around for a while, like doing shit.
And so like he was back, like he was like underground in Louisville, and my brother was like telling me, or like my brother told me a couple times, he's like, listen to this kid, he's raw. And then I got into him after What's Poppin'. So I'm real hipster, guys. Like I figured it out.
I also got into him after What's Poppin'.
Yeah. So
the new album was decent.
Yeah, dude. No, the new album?
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked elements of it.
I liked it. I wouldn't say it's like amazing.
No,
it was like average.
The thing is, I had really high expectations for it because
I thought
when Way Out dropped, I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be bangers for days. And it kind of disappointed me. But what was your favorite song?
I like the I think it's Same Guy, the one with like Adam Levine and
I like that. I like the beat on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one's really good. And then what's the one with the beat switch in it? 21.
Oh, Delta. Yeah.
Delta. Yeah. That one is. I think it's really.
You know what song I really liked?
Which one?
It was what's it called?
Is it What's Poppin'? Is it this little underground sleeper
called
What's Poppin'?
Dude, yeah, it's so underground. You heard it here first, guys. It's not that song. It's fuck, I'm forgetting the name. Let me look it up. It's on my Spotify. It's right here. Jack Harlow. Oh, Route 66.
I don't think I remember.
Jump from Kentucky, but this ain't no fucking Dixie Chicks. That line, oh, it was so good. I was like, this is fucking sad. But yeah, I think that's all I have for you today, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it, taking some time out of your very, very busy film schedule. Guys, remember the name Saro Acharya. He's going to be famous one day, and
Hopefully.
This podcast will blow up when Saro becomes famous, and I will become famous by proxy. No, but for real, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate having you on. If you guys enjoyed this episode or enjoyed this type of content, definitely like this video if you're on YouTube and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, feel free to hit me with the follow button. It'll help me greatly, maybe make me some money. Ka-ching, ka-ching, you know what I mean? But no, for real, I hope you guys enjoyed this content, and yeah, that's all.
Again, everybody, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode and conversation as much as I did. It was super great getting to talk to someone like Saro about the film industry and kind of peel the curtain back a little bit and talk about the less glamorous side that we, the typical consumers, don't usually get to see from Hollywood. So that was fantastic. Look out for the name Saro Acharya, though. I think he's going to hit it big in this industry. He's going to be on some big budget films in a few years, and you're going to look back at this podcast and be like, wow, I caught him from the beginning. But anyway, but no, keep your name out for Saro. He's dope. I've actually linked one of the short films that he produced in high school down below. In both the YouTube and Spotify versions of this. That film is absolutely fantastic, and he made that in high school, so he's only gotten better from there. But yes, definitely go check that out and show Saro some love for sure. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button if you're on the YouTube version of this, and go ahead and subscribe. Those two things just help promote my content to more people, and this community grows, and we can just keep getting better, and I can also show my parents monetary success, which is fantastic. If you're watching on Spotify, go ahead and follow me there so you can get notifications immediately when episodes drop, and you're part of that early gang community. So, everybody's happy. In addition, do go ahead and follow me on social media too. I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Essential Question Podcast. And on Twitter as well, you can find me at EssentialQU1. I'm starting to use my Twitter a little bit more, trying to get some more content up on my Twitter. So definitely go ahead and give my Twitter a follow, as well as my Instagram at Essential Question Podcast. You follow me there, you can get updates on the episodes, as well as updates on my other content as well, such as Thought of the Weeks, and the new Birchwood series that's going to be coming out sooner or later. I'm super excited about that. If you guys hate social media and you like email me at essentialquestionpodcast@gmail.com. Feel free to email me feedback, constructive criticism, whatever it is that your heart desires. So yeah, there you go. But that's honestly the end of the episode, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed that conversation with Saro as much as I did. Feel free to go check out his short film. It's going to be in the link down below. But see you later this week for the Thought of the Week. But that's all I have right now. So I hope you guys have a good one. Peace.